Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happy Retirement Show with Victor Gray and Colin Hurst. I hope you're having a great week and a wonderful summer. Everything has been treating you well and going your way. You know, we've talked a lot about Social Security and other important things lately on the Happy Retirement Show that's important and critical for a successful retirement. And one of the things that is also very important is what are you going to do for healthcare in retirement? Well, to talk about healthcare in retirement, we have a special guest joining us. Alex with Precise Insurance Advisors is here with us this week on the Happy Retirement Show to talk everything Medicare and important things to know this year before we get to the annual enrollment period. Alex, how are you doing this afternoon?
Good, Colin. Thank you for having me. Excited to, talk with your folks and educate a little bit about Medicare and how it works and some of the things we have coming up.
Wonderful. Well, Alex, before we get into Medicare, just give me the 30-second version of who you are and why you love what you do, because I know we've talked, but I'd love for our folks to get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. So glad to answer that. So I've been in the business now going on a little over 15 years, and I'm actually what they consider a Medicare broker. So I work with a lot of different agents and agencies across the country, help them with bringing Medicare into their practice, training them on it, educating them on it, and how to help their clients, just like what we do with you guys. And on the other side of that, then for about 12 years of that now, I've actually been a licensed insurance agent. So when I got started in the business, I worked for a big company, decided, okay, I'm going to go off on my own and really focused on just, myself, just a single agent, right? Just writing a book of business. And slowly but surely, we just started growing. A lot of clients went in the area that wanted to talk with us. And now I'm happy to say, Precise Insurance Advisors, we're really stretched out about 38 states now where we have business and many clients. And yeah, it's definitely a passion of ours. I know not everybody wakes up thinking about Medicare, but we do.
Well, that's important, Alex, I think, to have people like that are passionate and excited about what they do and how they serve people. I know that in our firm, Gray Hurst Wealth Advisors, that we are excited the way that we help folks. But the reason that we feel it's important to have partners and resources like Alex are our job is to be the best that we can be at what we do. And we want to have other resources available to our clients, that we're not trying to do everything or have all the answers. We want to make sure that our clients have the best people specialized in the exact roles that they need to fulfill to have them and help them have a happy retirement. So we're certainly happy to have Alex as one of the team members that helps our clients navigate everything about Medicare and planning and things like that. So Alex, if you wouldn't mind, share with the folks just an overview of, hey, if you're brand new to Medicare, you aren't familiar with it, how it works. People are normally familiar with their group plans, but just give us Medicare and healthcare and retirement 101, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to pull up my screen. We'll do a little bit of a share today. And I think we had said this before, this definitely is not our full presentation. Give little snippets of it, things that we find to be important. And then we can always, break off from there with clients. So and can you see my screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. So, the biggest thing I would say about Medicare for individuals and to your point, Colin, I mean, it's important for people it's important to have resources, right? It's important to have networking resources because it is something like Medicare. It is very in depth. And the one thing I always tell clients is, first of all, Medicare is a moving target. What it looks like today is completely different than it was like 5 years ago. The foundational side of it is pretty much the same, but there's, always little changes happening in the Medicare space. And all I would ever say is, we talked about this. It's always important to do at least one annual review with your client, what we do with our clients, and make sure that we just have everything up to date, whether it results in making a change or not. Two is it's not a one size fits all, right? And so I think group insurance can kind of sway people to think like, oh, okay, Mr. Smith has his insurance this way, Mrs. Smith has her insurance that way, and that's how it works. When people get to Medicare, the big thing to remember is it's individual. It is truly an individual market. So it is based off of you. There's a couple different paths you could choose with Medicare that we'll cover today. You'd be shocked how many households I have that go opposite directions of one another, and why it's really just based off the individual need of that client. And it changes. I wouldn't say maybe every single year a client makes a change, but probably every about 2 to 3 years a client would make a change. And yeah, if you'd like, I could just kind of dive right on into it. So
yeah, it'd be great.
Medicare is, and this is probably something, and for the folks listening, if you're I always say if you're 64 and older, you know exactly what I'm saying when I talk about this. The marketing is over the top. You're getting how many phone calls a day, how many emails, text messages, and then gosh, your mailbox, right? Your mailbox. I mean, truly, I wish I had this, Colin, from years ago when I first got started in the business. And this is actually what inspired me to want to be an agent. Is actually this is one of the stories that did it. And the client goes, I'm talking to the agent, and he goes, "Do you know what it's even like to sit across the table from somebody?" And I'm going, "No, I don't, but I think I would be really good at it if I did." One of those kind of conversations. And he goes, "Let me share a picture with you of a picture I took at one of my clients' house last night." And he was doing an enrollment. And basically, it's a picture of this client's dining room table, a mountain of mail, a mountain. It was crazy. And I so badly wish I still had this picture from all those years ago. And as he said, this is after the client started getting irritated with all the mail, going, "This can't be real." And it is. It's just a mountain. And so that's one of the things that actually inspired me to want to get into the business, is help get rid of the noise, right? That's what I was trained on. That's what I trained my agents on that work within Precise Insurance Advisors. We don't sell Medicare. We educate it and separate from the noise. And one of the biggest misnomers, getting over the slide deck, is yes, when you turn 65, you are eligible for Medicare. There's 4 parts of Medicare. We'll get into that. Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. And it's kind of weird how the order goes, because you have to have Part A in order to get Part B. You have to have Part B in order to get Part D. But in theory, you don't have to have a Part C or Medicare supplement plan. Part A, Part B covers covers 80% of your medical expenses. And then you have to have a prescription drug plan coverage. Okay. And if you don't, you may incur a late enrollment penalty. Well, when you work with someone like myself, Precise, or other agents, that's what we do, is help you fill in that other 20%. Part A, Part B is the 80. We help you fill in that 20% and find that prescription drug coverage. But the biggest thing is when you turn 65, if you're still working, you still have employer coverage, you're on COBRA, something that is deemed as credible coverage, you don't have to get onto Medicare. The average person right now is retiring, and Colin, you could probably answer this better than I can, but last time I looked, I think it's close to 70 years old. Am I right with that?
I'd say most of our clients are 65 to 70 when they retire. Most are over 65 when they retire.
And that's probably the biggest question we get, because of I kind of go back to all that marketing, emails, text messages, everything. It makes people think, oh gosh, I have to do this. As long as you have credible coverage, you could be 80 years old and still working. As long as you have credible coverage, you don't have to elect your Medicare.
So that's the key that it sounds like, is you have to have coverage. You can get Medicare at 65, but as long as you have coverage at 65, that you're okay.
Exactly. And one of the big things I always tell clients is, like sometimes small employers will say, "Hey, Colin, you know what? Unfortunately, keeping you on our health insurance is going to be really expensive." And what they'll do is they'll subsidize you're still working, but they want to push you off their health insurance onto Medicare. And what they do is they'll give you a little stipend every month, right? I've seen anywhere between $150, $300 a month, where to help you, just because of the cost difference, to help them move on to Medicare. So as I tell clients all the time, let's review that. Even if you're not retiring, let's see if Medicare is a better option than you staying on your group insurance. And it's all very situational. And that's probably the biggest thing I would say I would want to cover today. Another thing briefly to go over, and I go over this with all the clients. So this slide deck that we're looking at today, Colin, this is something that we go through with all of our clients. We actually send it to them to read in their leisure. We don't test them on it later, but we do send it to them. And what I always tell people is, make a folder on your desktop. It's the boring Medicare stuff, right? Take this, take that, put in a folder, use it always as a reference guide. So if things are confusing you and you don't feel like you want to pick up the phone and necessarily make a call or send an email, you can always look at this. So When someone first goes on to Medicare, it's called their initial enrollment period. That's what people hear about 3 months before, 3 months after. And we'll talk about the two different product types, but it doesn't matter what path you choose, you're automatically accepted. No matter any pre-existing conditions, what time of the year it is, you're automatically accepted onto a plan. Everything's guaranteed for the minimum of 12 months. Outside of that, everybody knows those lovely Joe Namath commercials that start up around Halloween through Thanksgiving. That's when annual enrollment period is being advertised. So that's for our Medicare Advantage, our prescription drug clients. That is where they can sit down, do an annual review for a first of the year switch. Okay. Everything we do with Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans, it's a calendar year coverage. So everything's from January 1 through December 31st. That's what we do during annual enrollment period. Open enrollment period, January 1st through March 31st. And sometimes annual enrollment period, open enrollment period, those terms get kind of mixed around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even though we're splitting hairs, a Medicare nerd like me, there's a big difference between them because you have your annual enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th. Colin, you start your coverage January 1st, March 31st. Maybe the coverage isn't working like you thought it did. We missed something in the conversation. It's where you can make a one-time change. And so really there's to think about is there's a 6-month window in the year for clients to make a change on their coverage with Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans. For my Medicare supplement clients out there, it's all about underwriting. So you can actually switch any time of the year. It's just all about you passing the underwriting and the health checkup.
So is it fair, Alex, then to say on those enrollment periods that the annual enrollment period in the fall is, hey, we're going to pick what we want for the next year. But then the open enrollment period, January through March, is kind of like taking that plan for a test drive where we can make sure it's what we like, it's what we want. And if we don't like what we picked in the fall, we can make a change during those 3 months. Is that right?
Absolutely. And even to take it one step further, there's folks that go, you know what, Alex, thank you for doing a review and I'm going to stay where I'm at. Well, here's the thing. Healthcare providers and health insurers are constantly going at it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I always tell clients is, we are here to help navigate those waters for you. But out of nowhere, it by no surprise, maybe you'll get a letter in the mail. It's February. Hey, my provider's no longer accepting United Healthcare. Well, that's a great time in Q1 for us to go, oh, wait, okay, we didn't see this coming during Q4 annual enrollment period of last year, but hey, now we can get ahead of it now. And again, make that one-time change. And again, that's for our Medicare Advantage of prescription drug clients. Medicare Advantage is becoming much and much more popular every day as they are. 5 years ago, it was really for people that they weren't traveling. They were kind of stayed in their area. It was a financial help to them. Now, it's very popular. A lot of people, it doesn't matter what tax bracket somebody's in, doesn't matter what somebody's health is in. Really, they are becoming a lot more popular. And that's something I like to talk about during this is what are your options? So Part A and Part B, Part A is your hospital, Part B is your doctor, Part D is your prescription drug. Part C actually stands for Medicare Advantage. Why? Because if you get on a Medicare Advantage plan, most of them are $0, right? A month. They don't cost anything monthly. It's a fee. It's a pay for it as you use it kind of service. It's a fee for service product. Okay. It's done through co-payments. And that's something that can really confuse some people. And again, when we are talking to clients, we're not selling them their insurance. We're educating them on the differences and how they work. And then typically, 95% of the time, the clients, by the time we get through it, they go, boom, okay, this path I want to choose. And then again, we do that annual review like I was talking about. And most Medicare Advantage plans come with a prescription drug tied to it. So if you get a Medicare Advantage plan, you're knocking out two birds with one stone because you have your health coverage closing in that 20%, and then you have your drug coverage with it as well. Then there's the Medicare supplements. Medicare supplements are, yes, there's a monthly premium no matter how much you do or do not use it. The beautiful part to that, and kind of going back, most Medicare Advantage plans have things like dental, vision, hearing coverage, over-the-counter benefits, things like that. Medicare supplements, if you look at the pros and cons, you don't pay any more or any less what that monthly premium is, which is nice because then you have a fixed cost. You know what you're paying that year, no matter how much you do not use it. Another thing is there's no network. So whether you're up in Ohio with Colin, whether you're down here in Nebraska with Alex, whether you're down over in Florida, wherever it may be, you're driving, you're flying, wherever, as as long as you go to someone that accepts Medicare, you're not, you're covered. You don't have to worry about who's in or who's out of network. One thing about it, though, is it does not include your prescription drug coverage. So we have to look at that. It also does not include things like your dental, vision, hearing coverages. So we'd have to look at that as well. But in talking about the network side for the folks on here, don't let my words scare you with that. Anymore with Medicare Advantage, let's say you're on an Aetna PPO plan. And again, you go up to see Colin in Ohio or down to see Alex in Nebraska, and you have to use your Medicare, the chances of you finding a doctor that accepts that plan is very common, very, very popular compared to what it used to be.
So would you say, Alex, then, because that's what we've heard from a lot of folks is a lot of our clients are snowbirds. They have a place in Florida or the Carolinas and up here in Ohio or Arizona. And they spend half the year in the winter in Florida, other half the year they're up here, and their concern with getting an Advantage plan has been, oh, I'm stuck with the network. If I'm out of, away from home, I'm not going to have coverage. That's kind of a fear. And I guess, would you say that used to be true and isn't now, or kind of what's the state of that?
So, again, and I come down to it, it's honestly situational to the client and what their needs are. Typically, to find a primary care doctor, network to network, is very simple. What might get a little bit tricky is if you're traveling, you're out of network, and you're looking for that specialist. But even then, it's not overly difficult anymore. That's why when Medicare Advantage was first ever introduced into the Medicare world, it was really meant for people that did not have the additional income to pay anywhere between $110, $125 a month for their Medicare supplement, plus tie on, another $30 a month for my dental coverage, plus tying on the prescription costs. They're going, I just don't have an extra, $200, $300 a month laying around. And that's when Medicare Advantage first got introduced all those years ago, is people that just didn't have the extra benefits. Well, now that's completely different today, the way the old landscape's morphed. So it's, and Medicare Advantage is PPO, HMO, private fee for service type plan. So how the networks are built, how the benefit design, each of the plans are built. And that's, I think I'm answering your question, but I would say, again, I can't express it enough. It's really situational, and not just between two different individuals, but that individual, you'd be surprised. They may be on one path 1 year, and just 3-4 years later, they're on a completely different path. And that's why we do our reviews with our clients. We follow up with clients probably about 2 to 3 times a year, no matter what. They can always reach out to us if they have something, but we reach out to them about 2 to 3 times a year. And it's always, one of those times is always during Q4 to sit down, do it. And we usually do a review on average about 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. Well, if you're listening today and have not had a Medicare review recently, if you're just on autopilot, go ahead and reach out to us here on the Happy Retirement Show. We'll get you connected with Alex's team, but you can go to the link in the description or in the show notes, however you're watching it, whether this is on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Go to ghwealthadvisors.com and we can get you connected with Alex and his team over at Precise Insurance Advisors. And I want to say up front that Alex and I have he has a professional relationship with our firm. He didn't pay $1 to be here on the show today. He's giving his time and expertise to be a service to our clients. So we brought him on because we found value in chatting with him and the way he's served some of our folks. So, Alex, in the couple minutes that we've got here left, we've got 2 minutes or so left. What are a couple of nuggets that are important to know as we kind of wrap up today?
Yeah. Again, if I had to highlight 3 of them right now, it'd be one, just remember, if you're 64 and debating, am I retiring at 65? Am I not? What am I doing? Just remember, if you have that credible coverage through an employer, spouse's plan, partner's plan, maybe you're on Cobra, whatever it may be, you don't have to take your Medicare insurance. You can remain on that and not elect your Part B and start getting into Medicare. And again, always maybe do a review to see which path makes more sense for you than the other. 2, Medicare is a moving target. Everybody, it's very situational to every client. and what their health needs are and what their coverage demand is, if you will. And, we are completely carrier and product agnostic. We are not paid by one over the other more. We're not, Alex, I get asked this all the time. Alex, how do you get compensated? By people allowing us to be their insurance agent. And does it cost them any more, any less to use an insurance agent like myself? 3, a lot of changes this year, folks. For my people that are already on Medicare this year, there are a tremendous amount of changes coming into the 2026 calendar year. Just get a review. Even if you already have someone that you do work with and want to stay with them, but maybe you just want a secondary opinion from someone like myself, please, if you're someone that you've not heard from your insurance agent or maybe work with that insurance carrier directly, call us. Free review, takes us no time at all. Just a little bit of meeting time with one another, and let's just do a review and see what's needed for you.
Absolutely. And Alex, we certainly appreciate the service that you've offered to our clients. I know that the ones that we know that have taken advantage of that review have been very pleased with the things that they've been able to find. Either, hey, I've got the good housekeeping seal of approval, I'm all set, or, hey, this is a better fit for what I need and what I'm looking for. But if you have questions for Alex or our team here at Grayhurst Wealth Advisors, just check out the link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, or go to ghwealthadvisors.com. Again, that's ghwealthadvisors.com. Alex, we appreciate you joining us here this week on the Happy Retirement Show. And for all of you listening, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Start building a more secure future for you and your family. Take the first step toward financial clarity by scheduling a no-cost, no-obligation consultation with Grayhurst Wealth Advisors. See if we're the right fit for you by scheduling a consultation. Call us today at 513-984-5999 or click the link in today's show description to get started.